To be a monster, you are either born one or made to become one, whether it's by choice or by force. Sometimes people don't have an option but to turn into one, and some are born as a monster and treated as such. The psyche is a fragile thing. Those who are pushed far enough, they'll snap, kill without an ounce of mercy. Without hesitation they will shred you until there is nothing left. These two know a thing or two about becoming what some may say is a monster, bloodlusted regardless of how they can normally behave. To them, killing is nothing but a norm. Lucy Declanius, the queen of the Declanius from Elfen League, and Kaneki, the one-eyed king from Tokyo Ghoul. If these two were to ever meet, only one can come out, only one can spill the blood. Who will it be? Who will escape this arena of death? Sometimes, secrets are meant to stay hidden. There are things mankind is better off not knowing about. Who knows what chaos that will cause? In this case, if all of mankind knew of a race that had the ability to slaughter hordes of people in a swell swoop, the only thing that will rage on is fear and chaos. The Declanii are a subhuman race that look like humans, but what distinguishes them are their horns and their supernatural abilities. Their goal was to infect humans to make more Declanii and wipe out the human race. For this reason, the Declanii were concealed and contained by humans to study, experiment on and more importantly, wipe out. Among the Declanius, there was a queen, the most powerful Declanii among them all. Her name was Kaed, but she also went by the name Lucy. When Lucy was a mere child, she was abandoned and left in an orphanage due to her horns. Most people saw her as a freak and would constantly torment her, from being bullied, abused, and discriminated against. She was mostly alone until she found a cute little puppy, a stray just like her. She quickly grew attached and befriended the puppy. That was until her bullies found the puppy, and just to torment her, proceeded to beat up the puppy and kill it in front of her. This pushed her beyond her limits. She snapped and went berserk, and it was this moment when she unlocked her psychokinetic abilities. With it she killed the bullies, leaving nothing left but a bloody room that Declanii have, which created extra arms behind them. These arms are controlled through vibration frequency. The effects of the vectors depends on how fast the vibrations are. Low frequencies mean they are completely invisible and intangible. The higher they go, the more effects they have, from being able to pick stuff up, slice like a blade and even become explosive. It's usually meant to infect other humans to turn them into Declanii, but Lucy and other Declanii can do much more with it. On most occasions Lucy has around 4 vectors active with a range of 2 meters, but she can exceed those limits and have 28 vectors with a range far larger than a few feet, and it's possible this number can be even greater, this showing when her horns grow in size. With her vectors she can inflict men with the Declanii virus, inflict pain by striking nervous systems directly, use them to bypass physical objects, launch herself and even appear to levitate in the air, destroy whatever is in her path via slicing or crushing like when she destroyed metal walls to escape a facility, launch objects at deadly speeds like when she launched a small rock at a helicopter and took it down, block attacks like gunfire and tank shells by forming a force field, induce illusions, affect and manipulate the bodies of others on a cellular level, pick up heavy objects with no known limit or stress to the user like when she picked up a speedboat in a large boulder, and if the vibrations frequency is high enough, manipulate the weather to create storms, and create explosions from sheer vibrations alone. With one of these explosions she detonated and sunk an island. The magnitude caused giant waves to form as also. For any of this to happen, she would have to be unleashing 247.4 gigatons of TNT. Her vectors are insanely fast too, while there are many she can control to act as a shield. Each individual vector can move at blinding speeds. She can use them to launch herself across cities at subsonic speeds, block a barrage of bullets even as precise as to stop one from reaching her heart in time from point-blank range after the bullet entered her body, and at her peak, the vectors reached outer space in mere seconds, and retracting back even faster in 27 nanoseconds. That means her speed by T-Bay point is relativistic. Lucy herself is very tough as she fought other Declanii like herself, took hits and shots from trained soldiers, and without her vectors protecting her, survived a direct missile explosion and was fine. She is even tougher considering the damage she has caused. As a matter of fact, her arms reaching into space shows the range her arms can reach, and is stated she could easily exterminate humanity with that fraction of her power. Genuinely believed she could destroy the planet, and if in theory she can release a nuclear fusion is devastating, the power she might be able to exact is 210.75 exatons of TNT, enough to nuke the moon, although this is never shown but rather a possibility if she were to exceed that power. Lucy is fairly smart, she knows the human body very well and knows where to strike critical organs. Expert in using her powers, and even though she isn't academically advanced, she still has great combat knowledge, capable of using her environment to her advantage and inflicting fear to take a dominant stance. Now Lucy may be a killing machine, but she has some flaws too. After being shot in the head, she survived but developed a split personality named NYU, one far more passive and gentle. In this state she is far more vulnerable, but she can trigger her murderous state if she feels threatened. She has another one called DNA Voice, which is her Declanii instincts kicking in, which is extremely violent and merciless. She doesn't think here, it's all about killing and inflicting the human race. Her horns are also a weak point, which if broken or struck in the forehead hard enough, her vectors can be nullified. Usually a Declanii is killed if their horns break. Lucy doesn't seem to die so easily like that, but it still hinders her. If she is on a complete rampage, even one strong enough to take down entire military forces, she can still be blinded by rage and taken advantage of, and if she exceeds her limit too much, she will start to melt. Such weaknesses are so minuscule compared to her true power, though. Lucy by no means is a person to undermine, for her true power is anything but safe. For anyone who encounters Lucy, your best way of winning is to run. Run as far away as possible if you want to avoid being a pool of blood on the ground, otherwise, may you rest in peace. Overall, Lucy is a cold-blooded killer with extremely fast vectors. She is capable of wiping out armies, but her vectors will be stopped if her horns are destroyed. A world where humans and ghouls exists is a recipe for disaster. Ghouls are a carnivorous and cannibalistic humanoid species that are only able to feed on the flesh of humans and other ghouls. There are those that are naturally born, but a rare instance soon occurs where one isn't born, but rather made. Kaneki was formerly known as a human who was studying Japanese literature at Kamiai University and was living a fairly normal life, attending school, getting good grades and living his life with nothing to oppose. Well, just like any other day, everything was soon changed after he had Rizkakuhou transplanted into him and became a one-eyed ghoul. This means that Kaneki is the first known artificial one-eyed ghoul to have ever existed. Naturally, with this new identity, he really didn't have much of a choice but to learn more about what he is, so after joining Antioku as a part-time waiter, he learned how to live as a ghoul and became known as Eye Patch. Kaneki was soon captured by Aojirai Tree. Everything following this event had Kaneki undergo a drastic personality change. After escaping the clutches of Aojirai, Kaneki formed a group with the main goal of protecting those important to him and exterminating individuals threatening his place of belonging. Kaneki as a ghoul possesses a handful of abilities. His most well-known ones are the tendrils that form on his lower back, ones soaked in a bloody red coat. These are called Kagun. These tendrils are extremely strong, capable of blasting through metal, creating craters, and destroying concrete walls, breaking apart buildings, and plenty more. He possesses many interesting abilities, besides his physiology granting supernatural physical attributes and senses. He also has superhuman regeneration, considered abnormal even to ghouls, that is potent enough to regrow entire limbs and heal damage to his brain, high pain tolerance, a feral mind to allow him to go berserk, limited power mimicry via reading his opponents and learning to predict and mimic their techniques, limited shape-shifting by giving his Kagun mouths, synesthesia, night vision, producing radiation, and great adaptability. Kaneki possesses a smell that can sense a dead body many city blocks away, can detect incoming attacks that can threaten him, and things that can't normally be seen by the naked eye. Kagun also has a type of poison effect meant to slow down regeneration, and paralyze others. As a one-eyed ghoul, whenever he regenerates from injuries, they increase RC cell pathways through their bodies, growing stronger as a result, constantly evolving during the battle to adapt over time. His Kaguns also grow in size the more he eats, so if he eats living flesh as a viable source, the mass, length, and power of the Kaguns increase. Kaneki also possessed the ability to produce humanoid golems made from his body that attempt to defend him from attacks. These golems tend to break a little easily, but they put up a good guard. These golems also self-destruct upon death, which releases a poison that can give people an accelerated form of ROS, causing them to develop painful and cancerous Kagun formations, which can lead to a degrade in senses, memory loss, and regression. Kaneki also possesses a few forms, one simply known as Dragon, after relinquishing his ideals and morality in order to protect and see his family and friends again. Kaneki devoured dozens of artificial half-ghouls and grew a massive Kakuja, over 20 kilometers in length and stretching throughout the wards of Tokyo. It was stated he would also increase in size 10 times over within a few days once the dragon became active again. Though his true body was extracted from the dragon Kakuja, this led to many mutations in which his entire body is implied to have become a Kagun, having gained new organs with unknown effects. In this state, his Kagun appears as several large star-shaped swords on tentacles, which Kaneki can manipulate for offensive and defensive purposes. Kaneki has accomplished a lot of feats. He has fought all kinds of powerful ghouls like Seiko, who smashed a large portion of a small building and violently fragmented a large area of concrete. He has fought Ito, who broke apart a gigantic compactor made out of quinqua steel, and even Kishao, who has one of the strongest quinquas in history, contends with people who can create fire. They can evaporate human flesh instantly, and in his post-dragon state was stated of left alone, can destroy all of Tokyo, which is supported when in a rampage, created a powerful earthquake under all of Tokyo via explosions which should yield 904 kilotons of TNT. The range of these tendrils can reach 20 kilometers, since it's stated that can occupy multiple wards at the same time. Kaneki is capable of withstanding his own destruction and attacks from other ghouls who can deliver devastating attacks similar to him, like how the dragon's tendrils can level entire towns during battle. He can also shake off devastating injuries simply by regenerating, survive having holes punched into him, buildings collapsing on him, and plenty more. Kaneki is also plenty fast too. He can deflect and attack faster than machine gun fire, keep up with a mon who dispersed rain with a shockwave, creating a dome without droplets. Being able to react to these shockwaves and even move faster than them along with the droplets puts their reaction speeds well above hypersonic, and at his peak, his speed has created several Mach cones, constantly shattering speed barriers like the sound barrier over and over. Kaneki is also a very smart person. Even before becoming a ghoul, Kaneki was a highly intelligent scholar. After being tortured by Yamurai, Kaneki embraced his ghoul instincts, becoming a vicious fighter who can effortlessly tear apart entire ranks of investigators and casually take down 2 S-rank ghouls, Yamurai and Ayato, in quick succession. Kaneki isn't without weaknesses. Because of the trauma he has endured, he is prone to emotional outbursts even though he can be calm at times. But because of his ghoul and the nature of his powers, using his Kakuja causes Kaneki to lose his grip on his sanity, which can turn him fully bloodlust and uncontrollable. His Rinkaku is also fairly brittle. Any form of damage to his brain of the sort like Arima did can cause him to lose his memories, which can hinder him over time. He is also insanely unstable mentally and emotionally, so anything that reminds him of his past life can cause a mental breakdown. This doesn't mean he is fragile overall. He is hard to put down, hard to overpower, and hard to outlast. Don't ever mess with the people he cares about, unless you want to find yourself being consumed by the king of the ghouls. Overall, while Kaneki suffers from mental breakdowns, he has tons of battle skills with his tentacles and healing factor. Well, that was brutal, a little too brutal like, good lord what a way to go. Well, Lucy takes this win for fairly obvious reasons. Sure, Kaneki possesses great regeneration capabilities to last long in combat, and amplify himself and adapt over time, and because of his senses he can see the vectors or at least sense them. His powers likely can overwhelm Lucy if given the chance, keyword if. Lucy takes every statistical advantage, her power exceeds Kaneki's by a massive margin. Even if we don't consider her theoretical power, she still was compared to nuclear fusion, and she sank an entire island. There also is an issue with speed. The vectors move way too fast for Kaneki to react to. Even if he can sense them, he won't be able to move in time to react, and no matter how durable Kaneki is, the vectors simply can bypass his physical body and attack from the inside. Heck, even intense vibrations can disrupt electron clouds and disrupt matter overall, so each attack can just cut through electrons easily. Lucy should be able to tank his attacks fairly easily. Her only hindrance is her regeneration being shown down. Kaneki could poison Lucy, if it weren't for the fact that Lucy can keep her range even from across the planet, and nothing is stopping Lucy from infecting Kaneki with her virus. Kaneki's best hope is to rapidly evolve during the battle and quickly adapt to Lucy's powers, learning her patterns and closing in on a good opening. Yet Lucy's statistical dominance, her far superior range and her ability to bypass many of Kaneki's offensive and defensive options allows her to keep him at bay, granting her the win overall. Kaneki changed at a victory were too slim to achieve. The winner is Lucy Declanius.